Welcome to At Home with Kelly and Tiffany, where we share powerful tools, exciting education, and relatable views about holistic health, physiological birth, and thriving in the female body. We're home birth midwives in sunny San Diego, passionate about the alternatives that give women control and confidence in health, in birth, and in life. We've poured a lot of love into creating very in-depth and high-value offerings, a monthly membership, a physiological birth course, and holistic guides for the women who really want to dive all the way in. But this podcast, we want to bring zero-cost information about health and natural birth and make these important topics accessible, always. Your support of the show is also zero cost and means everything to us. When you leave a review, share an episode, and join our newsletter, it really helps us keep this space open, ad-free, and full of honest, valuable conversations. Now, let's dive into today's show. Welcome back to the At Home with Kelly and Tiffany podcast. I am Kelly.
And I'm Tiffany.
And we are here today to talk about having a home birth as a first-time mom. You will hear very quickly, in our opinion, that is the best time. Despite what people may think, one of the best times to actually plan and move forward with the idea of home birth. And we'll get into why.
Before we do, I have an excellent review, a most beautiful review from What Wifey.
Hey, What Wifey.
What Wifey. Wifey. I don't care what your handle is, lady, because you gave us a beautiful 5-star review. This is what she said. I am often in the car when listening or having my hands full with my toddlers that I haven't gotten around to reviewing. Ooh, good. That's on her conscience. That's wonderful. But today I made the time to give the 5-star review. Yes, you did, Wat Wifey, and we are reading it on our show. These gals have been such a blessing to listen to, and I have even in recent months had a consultation with them. As they poured time into giving so much help through this podcast, I was eager to have more one-on-one help from these expert midwives. This podcast is truly a treasure trove of amazing resources that will help you on your womanly journey through life, whether that be preparing for childbearing or your childbearing years or even menopausal. I love their hot takes, most recently the pet take, spot on. I have my 5th babe newly nestled in my womb, and I am pumped to utilize all the wonderful tips and tricks that they have shared with us. I hope more and more women discover the wealth of knowledge that comes from these women, that they share it with their communities and birth lots of sweet babies. So appreciate y'all. Y'all are the real deal gals. So this was back in August of last year. Are you racking your brain trying to think of who you consulted with that was pregnant a year ago?
In August of last year. I mean, I can think of a couple, but who, it's fine. I'm sure it was wonderful, and I'm sure she was amazing to chat with is the thing.
Yeah, she used emojis in her review too, which I really appreciate. It makes it fun to read. We will buy you a drink, Wat Wifey. And for listeners who don't know, we do offer one-on-one consultations, virtual consultations through a couple different avenues. So if you're interested in bringing something to us that you want us to help you unpack with a holistic perspective, send us an email. Be easy peasy to squeeze your consult in.
I like what you did there. That was good.
Okay, so Kelly, you introduced the podcast. I'll have this concept of I'll have a home birth with a second baby is so rampant. It's amazing. It's amazing. Completely understandable. I understand where women are coming from. And I understand how this advice is given in some ways, but we have to make an entire episode dispelling this concept that women should wait to have a home birth until they've already given birth. Can you just play devil's advocate for a moment and put yourself in the perspective of the woman who believes this? And, let's unpack that a little bit. How does this statement come to be something that gets shared so often? And where are women coming from when they're thinking that this is the right way to approach your birth options?
Yeah, and I think most women who have this idea are thinking, I've never had a baby before. I don't know how I'm going to handle it. I don't know what's going to happen. And so why don't I just go be in this place that no matter what I think, if anything happens, I feel like this is the place I should be, because what if XYZ and there's an operating room down the, hallway? Or what if I actually need the epidural? I don't know how, like I have a low pain tolerance. I don't know how I'm going to handle labor. Let's just see what happens. And then I can decide from there, like, oh, I think their idea is I managed that pretty well, or it wasn't as terrible as I thought it was going to be. So now I feel confident and prepared that I can go home and have this next one at home. There's a lot that is, I don't want to say wrong, because you can have your opinion, but there's a lot that's misguided about that idea that, like, hey, let me test out an entire birth within a system that, like, is, for lack of better term, like, is just not really going to care about you in particular and fight for the kind of experience that you particularly want. You're kind of sacrificing that experience to go and experiment with this first birth. But I do think that's the feedback that we get from a lot of women. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to react. And so it feels better to say, hey, let me go to this place that everybody else goes to, and then I can decide what I want to do from there.
Yeah. And so our advice is your first birth has such an impact on your options and opportunity and all of the rest of your obstetrical history. So don't take your first birth so lightly and hold it with such an open hand that you're willing to bring your foundational experience into a setting or with a care provider or in a care model that is not going to give you the best opportunity for the best possible experience. And it is absolutely worth pouring every single ounce of attention and information and intention into this very first birth, because, as we talked about in our last episode, in the hospital, 35% of you are going to end up with a primary surgical birth, which is going to impact how you are able to approach the next birth. And I think that women are approaching this concept out of fear and self-doubt, and there is nothing better to work on in your pregnancy than those pieces. And if you say, ooh, too scary, and I'm unsure of what my body's going to do, so I'm going to default to this setting and this provider, you're not working through those things, and it is going to come up later. Even if you do bring your birth home for your second birth, you're still going to have to work through your fear and now maybe some trauma because of your first experience. You're still going to have to walk through unlearning things and pulling back the curtain on the truth versus what actually happened to you. And a lot of women will go on to have a totally fine, wonderful birth in the hospital. And I've probably shared this on this show before because it really irks me when someone says, and this shouldn't upset me. This should not upset me. I should just be like, oh, that's your experience. Okay. When someone says, well, I had a hospital birth that was perfectly fine and wonderful, and it was basically physiological, and all of my wishes were respected, and I got exactly what I wanted out of the experience, and I prepared for that, and I advocated for that, and it was great. So therefore, don't bash a hospital birth. And that's not what we're doing here. We are not saying hospital birth is bad. We are saying home birth is so imaginably better in the vast degree of options and experiences. You cannot know just how good it is unless you experience it. You just cannot know. It's like, it reminds me of this C.S. Lewis quote that's like something about playing in the mud. And that's like your very best experience is just like making mud cakes when you have absolutely no idea that there's something out of the muck and the mire, waiting for you, that there's so much to experience up out of the mud pit. And so I'm saying that to encourage women. I'm not saying that to condemn them or judge them or try to put any type of, stigma on their desires and experiences. I just want you to be open-minded, ladies, that you cannot have a fully informed opinion about something that you have never experienced. And women who have experienced it will say, you just have to experience it. It's just so much better. There's so much that you can't even put into words. It's just better.
Yeah, I mean, we had that experience as doulas doing lots of hospital births and then both being invited to our first home birth, obviously separately, and saying, oh, this is what the women are asking for. This is what they actually want, right? I have seen amazing, really empowering hospital births and then was like, oh, yeah. So that was like a very powerful unmedicated birth, but this is just an entirely different experience, an entirely different model of care. All of it is just sort of like next level. But we keep kind of coming back to the idea of like, where am I going to feel safest? And I think that is a really important question as a first-time mom to unpack, because safety can mean a lot of different things, right? And so you need to figure out where you feel emotionally safest. You need to figure out where you feel physically safest. And for some women, that is acceptable to think that the hospital is, I mean, of course, it's acceptable to think that the hospital is that. But a lot of times that comes with an eyes wide shut situation with looking at what your other options are, whether it's you've just never really researched it or you've only heard negative things that have been shared on social media or something like that, and not really talking to women who have experienced it, and not really talking to providers who offer it, and not really talking and asking hard-hitting questions to providers who are offering the hospital births as well. Really understanding, kind of going back, all of this emotional safety, all of this mental safety, all of this physical safety, all of it really does matter. And you need to figure out where you are going to get the best of that, which we are home birth midwives. So of course we are home birth midwives because we believe that women need this. We believe that there's something else out there, something more for women that they deserve, that potentially I feel like their eyes have been like, it's like the sheepskin over their eyes or whatever. Like it's a secret. It's not a secret, but it's been hidden from women what is actually available to them. And we just love shining the light on that, because you deserve to know the truth. Whether or not you accept that invitation into that kind of care is up to you. But the awareness of what it can provide is so important and can really change. I mean, not to be overdramatic, but like it can change your entire obstetrical history. It can change your entire entry into motherhood. It can change your entire relationship with your body and your confidence and all of it. And so, yeah, it matters a lot.
It does. Okay. So it matters so much. And I was still looking for help to articulate exactly what this is, because I didn't choose home birth with my first baby. I don't have firsthand experience with that as a mom. I have a lot of experience with that as a provider. So I asked other moms who did choose home birth on our Instagram, what advice do you have for other moms who are other first-time moms who are considering home birth? So those that are going to put that concept aside of like, let's just see how I do, let's see how it goes, and then maybe choose home birth next time once we are all really professional birthers at that point. If only, gosh, if only.
I'm not.
So let's I wrote all these pieces of advice out. Let's see how much we can get through and just flood the rest of this episode with encouragement and get women fired up for considering home birth for their first birth.
Yeah, the first one here says, don't sacrifice your first birth and mental health to a system that doesn't care about you, which is a very succinct way to say all of the things that I was saying earlier.
Yep. This next piece of advice, write out all of your questions and interview with your partner. And another lady says, do face-to-face interviews with at least 3 midwives. I think that's excellent advice, because I think there's a lot that we think about midwives, a lot that we think about out-of-hospital births. And hearing somebody present their expertise and education and professionalism to you in person, it will absolutely change how you feel about your options.
Yeah, this next one says, my midwife is the best provider I've had in my entire life. It's changed everything for me, which I think goes back to the relationship. It goes back to the scope that we can support in. It goes back to like not, quote, just birth, right? Which is awesome to hear, which usually people don't necessarily say that about their doctors, but that's a whole other conversation. And this next one says, quiet the noise of the world and do what is best for you and your family. That is really important advice, not only in choosing birth, but parenting moving forward as well. You're not making these choices at other people. You don't have to make choices because somebody else made a choice. This is what's best for you and for your family, whether or not anybody else agrees with it or not.
Yeah. And trust me, if you are even considering home birth, even if you don't choose home births and you're someone who would have considered it, you're going to do a lot of other things in the alternative sphere that you're going to have to get used to people feeling uncomfortable about your choices for your family. So why not just start out with the craziest one of all, I say. This next one says research. Knowing more equals more confidence in yourself and in your plan. I wholeheartedly believe that. And then we have plan the dream birth now. There are no trial runs, and it's your baby's best birth too. And that's so powerful. We are always forgetting about that squirmy little boogie buns that is actually the center of what we're trying to do here, bring a baby. Their experience matters too. Think about how they're going to be treated in each individual setting. And it is okay to put your experience and preferences aside and plan the birth that's going to be best for your baby. That is a beautiful, motherly, sacrificial thing to do.
Yes. The next one says, you don't want to experience contractions in a car. Trust me. As somebody who has experienced contractions in a car, I would wholeheartedly agree. Not very fun, especially if you're in the transition stage. Not enjoyable. Being able to stay home, stay comfortable, all the good things. Next one says, don't let your fears overcome your intuition. And to be able to pull that apart, that's going to be a continuous. A lot of times we see birth lessons as life lessons. And that is absolutely one. Kind of pulling apart some of those fears and understanding and being able to be willing to listen to your intuition on this is incredibly important. And then the next mom said, midwives are so incredibly skilled. You are in no better hands. I think it's helpful as you are interviewing midwives, as you're researching this, that you see that it's not just okay, hopefully everything goes great, we'll see what happens. Experience. Very skilled, lots of training, managing complications. So if things are going a little sideways, that's why you have somebody there for you to be able to bring that kind of back into that sphere of normal.
Yeah, this next mom says, scary stories, in quotes, scary stories about home birth aren't usually all truth. Only listen to those who have experienced it firsthand. And that is great advice because there's lots of stories out there of like, oh, well, you know, my neighbor, my coworker, my sister, my whatever. We have people in our lives. I would call them friends, but maybe they're more of acquaintances who work in a hospital setting who love to come to us and say, listen to this eternal emergency that happened, not even in my department. I just heard about it happening in L&D. And we're like, okay, thank you so much. I have so many questions and I really you don't have to tell me. The next one says, lean in and honor the desire that you have now. It's a worthy desire. Oh my gosh, right? The hospital will always be there. So if you're thinking, but what if I need the hospital? Yes. What if you do? Then you will get in your car and drive to it. It will always be there. That's great advice. And this next one says, home birth gives you so much opportunity and control. Who will be there, the energy, the skill for the type of birth you want to have, it matters. And boy, does it ever. That should just be like our tagline. Skill, it matters.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And all of these, I love that they're like from moms who have experienced it themselves, who are like, ooh, I really want to share this wisdom and I really want to share this encouragement. And the next one is actually one that I've already touched on about where you feel the safest and understanding what safe actually means, right? So important. An encouragement and affirmation. We're made to do this. Listen to positive stories. The more birth stories that are out there, the more birth videos that are out there that you get to see real birth because it's been taken out of the home, right, and into the hospital. And now it happens behind closed doors and we don't get to see our sisters all the time, right? And don't always see moms give birth, all of that. And so, yeah, being able to listen to and see real stories can absolutely impact and make a huge difference. This goes off something that you just mentioned too. Don't listen to the opinions of those who have not experienced it. And so don't listen to, oh, that's a terrible idea. Oh, that sounds so scary. Oh, why would anybody choose that? When they themselves have not chosen that, it is counterproductive and it's not a true assessment, right, of being able to make a decision with, again, your own eyes wide open. The next one says that it's not just about the birth, right? And we talk about that in a lot of different ways, but postpartum as well. And so the amount of time that we're spending prenatally, the amount of time that you are getting to prepare not only for a healthy pregnancy, a healthy birth, but a healthy postpartum, and then receiving the kind of postpartum care that midwives give, which looks very different, depending. That's a great question to be asking your providers, including your OB, to say, what does my postpartum care look like? And then compare that to what the midwife will offer. And that is a huge swing. And women are being undersold and undercared for in the medical model in a lot of ways. And so, yes, midwifery model of care, we'll simply just beat that out.
Yeah, this one kind of like encourages women to compare the models to. She says, the midwifery consultation versus the hospital tour did it for me. Like going and talking to a midwife about what she wants to know and how we're going to talk about my birth versus going to the hospital and seeing what they want to know and how they're going to talk about my experience. It's night and day. It's just not, you can easily see how we don't operate in the same model. I have a couple more I want to share. One-on-one care is inherently safer, this mom says. Like getting care, sometimes by more than one. I mean, we often have two midwives there, right? Or another assistant of some kind. She says that's safer. That's safer than having a nurse who's taking care of 5 or 6 women at a time and has to rely on monitors in order to, track your health and safety. And this woman says a perfect birth is not guaranteed, but it is still worth working for the best possible one. And I absolutely agree with that. Like choosing home birth does not necessarily mean that not going to the hospital doesn't mean that you're going to have like the greatest birth ever and it's all going to be twinkle lights and birth tub and all of that stuff. But it is still the place where you have the most options, the most autonomy, the most control. And that's absolutely worth it. And then lastly, I'm going to share, have honest expectations, prepare for a long birth. We're still talking about first-time moms here, right? And I think this is part of the hesitation in choosing home. Women want to go to the hospital just in case they can't handle it, just in case it's long, just in case they need more. And potentially that may be a part of what is needed for you, but still starting at home is, again, going to give you the best possible clinical outcome with the most resources. And again, we can like always move up the ladder to get more and more help on board, get more and more resources and medical care if needed, but still planning to start in a low risk, high support setting is going to make a birth that eventually has to be in the hospital for whatever reason to be better for you, even if you end up needing a hospital birth.
Yeah, I think what's helpful for first-time moms especially to think about when it comes to this is, so say there's like a triangle, right? The majority of women are on that bottom biggest part of the triangle. They are low risk and they have low risk pregnancies, right? And that's like the low intervention, all of that. Most women are in that big chunk of the pyramid. Now, the top part is like the medical intervention, like we really need something, right? And that's a smaller percentage. The problem is this huge part of the angle is like we're inverting it, right? We are saying all of these low risk women are now going to go to the place where the most medical intervention is needed, right? Instead of working our way up this little pyramid as we potentially need to, right? And so being able to see in your own mind, hey, maybe I do just want to start at home, or maybe I do want to give myself the best possible experience in terms of being treated as a low-risk mom with a low-risk pregnancy. What's going to give me the best outcome? What is my desire for this birth in general? What is my desired outcome? What do I want out of this? And if it is on that top higher part, that's your decision. But the majority of women are going to be able to stay in that big chunk of the pyramid if they are given the proper support and care and model of care to be able to stay down there. But climbing up that ladder, climbing up the side of that pyramid is acceptable when we need to do it, right? And so like you're saying, it's always there. But when women start at the bottom of it with this type of care, no matter if they have to get to the top of the pyramid or not, the satisfaction percentage and outcomes that women have with their birth, no matter the outcome, are infinitely higher when they have decided to choose a home birth midwife and that route versus going to the hospital for the first birth. And that's just like stats. So can't get mad at me. for saying that.
Do not get mad. And I mean, we're talking about like, it's important to understand that piece of it, right? Like when we unpacked hospital transfers, from home to hospital transfers a few episodes back, we talked about it's the first time mom who has a really long labor, who wants to go in because she wants some more stuff for her labor, and that's perfectly acceptable. It's not the first time mom. We're not looking at transfer rates as like the first time mom is more likely to experience an emergency or experience some kind of issue of safety. Actually, she's probably in the safest environment with the least amount of interventions overall, right? She wants and is asking and is requesting to go get more interventions. And that is absolutely a part of some women's plan and perfectly acceptable. Inside of our show notes, we have some follow-up resources for you. One of them includes our video list on YouTube. Some of the advice was to watch birth videos, listen to birth stories. So we have some of those links for you guys to continue to explore some of those things. And we're also going to link our interview blog for midwives. So going all through, like, how do you find a midwife? How do you interview them? What do you ask for? What are some of the things that you need to consider as you're just selecting a midwife? And then we can also throw in, is home birth right for me? Which is another blog that we have. It's a highly trafficked one just because it goes through like 5 main things to consider. We do not think home birth is for everyone. It is definitely not for every first-time mom, but it is for those who want it. And so if you're thinking about this concept and wanting to explore more, and you kind of have a bug in your ear to sort through that and try to see if it is the right fit for you, keep exploring, keep researching, keep learning, keep asking questions. It is an absolutely valid thing to do some more research on.
Yeah, and if you're making some of these decisions or questioning what you want to do or all of that and wanting to prepare the best as possible for your birth, in the show notes also, there's a link to our childbirth education class with a coupon code in there as well, which will provide you the most robust midwifery-centric education that is out there. It is exactly what we will give to our clients, plus so much more, because there's just infinite amount of time and space and caveats that we can go on in there. And so if you're looking to prepare, no matter where you choose to birth, this childbirth education course is a fantastic way to feel empowered and prepared, help you make decisions just with both encouragement and education, information, and allowing you to kind of lean into your intuition that way. So you will find all of those things in the show notes, and we will catch you next week. Hey ladies, if you're loving the show and want to help us keep it ad-free so we can keep talking about all things birth and women's health without cutting to an ad about electrolytes or grass-fed beef sticks, here is how you can support us. First, leave us a quick review or a rating. It helps more women, new moms, and birth enthusiasts find our show, and it honestly means so much to us to be reminded that you love what we are doing here. Second, share this episode with a friend, with a doula buddy, or anyone who is on their own holistic health or natural birth journey. And third, hop on our newsletter list. This is where we share bonus goodies, behind-the-scenes stuff, fun little extras you just won't hear on the show. You can find that link to join in our show notes below. Thanks so much for being a part of this growing, empowered community. We could not do it without you.